I apologize. I forgot there was a 15-minute limit on the YouTube that I'm using here. So we're on slide 9. This is part 2 of my presentation, and I was talking a little bit about electricity storage. Not so much of interest for this class, just mentioning it. Really, the meat of the topic for this class is the communication that's required. We need to really rely on secure and efficient, high-speed IP communication to help us deliver such a vital aspect of our lives. So it really, we need to be able to rely on these packets. We need quality of service to deliver information about the grid. They've got to get through, and the system has to be foolproof so that the lights don't go out. That's no fun for anybody. And in fact, as we've seen, losing your electricity can be life-threatening. We've seen that in Japan. That even the people generating the electricity need the electricity to run their systems. So electricity is a part of modern life, and we need to have these IP traffic. It has to be secure and it has to be private. And that would be, let's go to slide 10. So what kind of network do we need for the grid? We need advanced communication, to communicate about the demand and supply. And that's required to, it's not just required to lower our costs. It's not just required because it's cool to have, not have to have a meter man come and read the meter anymore. It's really, the smart grid is, and this communication is required to fully integrate green technologies. And so our IP system has to provide low latency and reliability. It has to provide high throughput. It has to have a lot of security because you need to be able to have all of these different devices on the network communicating, but only sharing information with those that need to see it. You don't want your neighbor being able to look at your meter results. And all of this information is this network traffic is going to control the electrical grid for this country. And we know that when things go wrong with the grid, you can have a lot of problems. It can be a financial meltdown. It can cause health. It can be a terrorist target. So we need to have. It needs to be secure, and it's got to be fast. We're going to be communicating real-time information about all these points across the grid every 2 seconds. So there's a lot of information. So let's slide 11. Let's talk about the security for the grid. The enemies must not be able to read or interfere with the data. We've talked about that. There are some different application layer communication protocols which utilize IPsec, and they're mature, they're reliable, they're scalable. Because imagine now we're going to scale this system up to be nationwide, so it's got to be scalable, and it's it's got to support the various communication methods required for the smart grid. So some people way out in the country, we might have a very low speed link to them, or we may have satellite communication with this. The carrier is going to be different depending on the scenario for where you are in the country. You could have wireless carrier. So slide 12. And really, depending on irregardless of the carrier, it has to be secure. And IPsec does that. It's a standard IP protocol, and you can use it with different carriers. So what are some of the challenges to IPsec for the smart grid? Well, one of the things I found is that the security methods used for the smart grid, they must remain unbreakable. So you're going to build this grid, and with the idea that it's going to be around for another 100 years. So you've got to do it right up front, because we know that the immense expense and investment. You've got to have your security methods can't be have to be secure. And one of the guys, Metke and Eckel, I guess, indicated that 3DES will be insecure before 2030. And uh, even in the paper, this paper, they said that this method was a detriment to latency and throughput. And I just mentioned that for the smart grid, we need low latency and high throughput. So we need to discuss, well, what are we going to do so that we can still get the data throughput that we need and still use cryptographic methods, which are complex so that people can't defeat them. And so there, for the smart grid, there's research going on right now to talk about different offloading of to a cryptographic engine of the encryption and decryption part of the IPsec. And that's really a good way to get the throughput and latency that we need for the smart grid. So slide 13. So this is from the paper that what I'm presenting today from Karamotis, Ioannidis, and Smith. I butchered those names. I'm sure. Apologize. This is one of their graphics, and what all I want you to see from this is that the latency, obviously you want lower latency. And what you can see is that with no IPsec, the line is low, one of the bottom lines. And when you start going up to higher, more secure cryptography methods, your latency goes up, and that's a bad thing. And I just wanted to justify this for everyone in the class. And in the bottom graph is the same thing, and I hope you can see this in class, is that you can see that throughput with no encryption and is high. It's 5,000 or something like that. And as you go to more and more complex and secure cryptography methods, your throughput goes down, and that's a real challenge for building a system like the smart grid. So what are some of the ethical considerations for the grid? Data privacy must be provided to protect you from both friend and enemy. I talked about that. The transaction process within the grid must remain private. You don't want your crazy neighbor knowing when you're home and when you're not. If you think about it, criminals would never have to leave their home except to make come in and break your window down, because if they could sit at their home and know when everybody in the neighborhood is gone and when they're home, and that's not the direction we want to go. And security failures could cause a blackout or worse. Also, there are a lot of people who value their privacy, and electric companies could start telling appliance manufacturers, hey, these people have an inefficient refrigerator. Why don't you sell them a new one? And all of a sudden you start getting calls from Amana saying, buy our refrigerator, we'll lower your electric bill. That a lot of people don't want that, and all of those things are very easy. They can figure out when you're watching TV with this information, and a lot of people value that privacy. Okay, slide 15. Slide 15. So what are these hardware offloading research? I mean, there's research going on right now to try to deliver the throughput and latency that we need with IPsec. And the ongoing research is showing that you have to be careful about how you implement your offloading, because it's not guaranteed in all scenarios that offloading is going to speed up the system. In fact, in certain scenarios, I'm going to discuss in certain scenarios, you can actually hurt your system performance. And so I wanted to document this a little bit for you. So I've got some graphics from a paper I found, IPsec offload performance by RASI. So if we go to slide 16, what I'm showing here is these are some offload performance issues, and you can see I'll let you evaluate scenario 2 and scenario 3 yourself, but you can see that with in this the ping is scenario 2. You can see that with offload performance, your performance is not as good, because no security, the ping is taking less processor time than with offload performance, with offload of the cryptography, and that's not a good thing. So there are certainly some scenarios where where it's going to offloading isn't going to help. So I got kind of curious about this, and I wanted to investigate it a little bit. And these are some of my conclusions from the papers that I've read. And offload performance. With hardware offload, performance gains are realized when packet size increases with complex computation. So you have a bit of a trade-off when you're going to offload your cryptography. You want complex algorithms that you're running, and you want a packet size which is large. And I think that makes sense if you think about it, because what that's saying is that there's a certain amount of overhead to transfer to another core, is my understanding of this offload core, and it is other hardware. And if what you're doing is not expensive, then offloading it is just that overhead. You're not going to overcome it. So when you're doing a simple algorithm, cryptography algorithm like MD5, there's no performance gain. And I wanted to document this a little bit for you. So if we go to slide 18, this is showing really where offload performance, where you can have your gain. And so the star is with the hardware acceleration, and you can see in each of those charts that with the that the cost for without offloading is going up as your packet size goes up, and you can see that that is with offloading it's not. So let's go to slide 19. So what are some of the future uses of IPsec? Vehicles, vehicle internet, fleet management, anywhere secure wireless is needed. For the smart grid plug-in electric vehicles, you can use it for secure debit. You could actually have a credit system where you could plug in at any outlet, run your credit card, and be able to pay for the electricity that you're just putting into your vehicle. And that's a necessary thing for electric vehicles, because if everybody has electric vehicles, your employer is not going to want to pay for your electricity to drive back and forth to work. So if you get to work, you need to charge. You're going to have to charge that vehicle, and you're going to want to do it while you're at work, because you're not going to want to. It's going to take an hour or two. So you need to be able to pay for that electricity at point of sale. And then mobile devices are a big area for where you can use VPN and also IPsec. So what are the conclusions today? I apologize if I went a little long. In fact, I'm gonna pause here, and we'll go to part 3.